What's up, scholars? Today we're talking about the Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem came from this Greek mathematician named Pythagoras, who was pretty obsessed with figuring out the relationship of legs in a right triangle to the hypotenuse, and eventually he came up with his theorem that says in a right triangle, let's make that one definitely right, the square of the length of the hypotenuse, which is our long side, hypotenuse, is equal to the sum of the squares of the length of the legs. So we have our hypotenuse, and we have two legs. Sometimes we call this leg A, and this one B, and the hypotenuse C, so we can say this, use a formula to express what this says. The square of the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the length of the legs. Sum meaning add, so we're going to add the squares of the length of the legs. Add the squares of the length of the legs, and that will be equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And there's this cool GIF I want to show you of things being squared, like literally made into a square, that kind of illustrates this theorem. Check it out. We've got our right triangle, ABC. We've got squares filling up the sides. And we see that we're really doing B squared right there plus A squared. That equals C squared. We make perfect squares with those side lengths. Pretty neat. Yeah, let's watch it one more time. There's our B squared plus our A squared equals our C squared. That's the bomb. So very cool. Alright, so let's try to use this Pythagorean theorem in some examples. A squared plus B squared is C squared. Remember, our hypotenuse is always our longest side directly across from the right angle. So, in this one we've got something that's 4 miles long, 3 miles long, and x. We need to decide which is the hypotenuse. It's going to be directly across from the right angle, so that must be our C in our Pythagorean theorem here. It really doesn't matter which one is A and B. They could be either one. Totally doesn't matter, because we're adding them, and you can add things in any order that you want. Right? Oh, get out of there. You can add things in any order that you want. Like 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is the same thing as 3 plus 2. Right? You can add in any order you want. So it doesn't matter which one's A or B. Let's just call this A. Let's call this B. Let's do our Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we're doing 4 squared plus 9, whoops, I gave you the punchline there, plus 3 squared is C squared. 4 squared is 16, 3 squared, that's where our 9 comes into play, is C squared. So let's add those up. 16 plus 9 is 25, is C squared. We're almost there. We want regular C though. We don't want C squared. So we're going to square root both sides, and we will get C equals 5. So x is 5 miles. Alright, let's do it again. Still using our Pythagorean theorem because we still have a right triangle. Okay. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Which side is C? It's the one across from the right angle, so it's 15. 15 squared. Doesn't matter which one's A and B. So let's say a is 13, we'll make that guy b. So we'll have 13 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared. What's 13 squared? 169 plus x squared equals 15 squared is 225. Let's do a little subtraction action. So we're going to get x squared equals 225 minus 169. Let's do, carry the 1, that'll be 6. That'll be 56. And now we're going to square root both sides to get x by itself. And x will equal, I'm going to have to use my calculator here, because I don't actually know the square root of 56. It's going to be a decimal. Square root of 56 is 7.48. 7.48. So B is 7.48 yards. Y finalmente, this last one here. Again, we're using our Pythagorean theorem because we have a right triangle. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Which one's the hypotenuse? Well, it's the long side across from the right angle. 16. That'll be 16 squared. Let's say 8 is A, x will be B, so we'll have 8 squared plus x squared. 8 squared is how much? Oh yes, it's 64. 16 squared is how much? I think it's 256. Let me just double check. Yes, it is 256. And then we're going to subtract 64 on both sides. And we should get 192, is that right? Yeah, 192. And we want x by itself, so let's take the square root of both sides and get x equals the squirt of 192 is 13.86 if we round. 13.86. So x equals 13.86 kilometers. All right, cool. So I kept saying that we use the Pythagorean theorem with right triangles. We do. That's true. Oh my gosh. Everyone's making noises. Cut it out, phone. Sorry. I should have put that on silent before we got started. But, you know, sometimes you just got to take care of business. No more interruptions. All right. We can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out if the triangle is right. So if it is a right triangle, when we do a squared plus b squared, it's going to equal c squared. If we have an obtuse triangle, that's not going to be true anymore. A squared plus b squared is not going to equal c squared. A squared plus b squared is going to be bigger than c squared. When you add up the squares of the two smaller sides, they will be bigger than the largest side. And in an acute triangle, a squared plus b squared is going to be less than c squared. Again, where c will be the longest side. C is always the longest side. All right, let's try that out. We've got 2 and 10 and 11. Which one is going to be C? 11. Does not matter what is A and B. Let's just do that and that. I'll check and see what happens. 2 squared plus 10 squared. We're going to figure out what sign goes here. Is it equals, less than, or greater than? C squared is 11. I want 11 squared. 11 squared. What's 2 squared? 4. 10 squared? Hundo. 11 squared? 121. So when we add these together, we get 104 and 121. What sign goes in there? Well, 121 is bigger, so that alligator is going to try to eat that guy. So if we look up here at our chart, that means we have an acute triangle. Acute triangle. It's so cute, all its angles are tiny. Alright, let's do it again. Got to figure out which side is our C. Well, 13 is the biggest number of this set. Let's call that A and B. So let's set it up. We'll do 5 squared plus 7 squared. Again, we're going to see what sign goes in there. 13 squared, 5 squared is 25, 7 squared is 49, 13 squared is 169. If we add these up, 25 and 49, I'm going to use my handy dandy calculator that's here with me, 74. And 169, what sign goes in there? 169 is definitely bigger. So that's also an acute triangle. Alright, we're doing great. Moving along. These are you try problems, which means you're going to try them and you will show me for credit. I'm not going to answer those. You're going to practice figuring out if it's right, acute, or obtuse. Cool. We're going to do some word problems together. We've got this nice checklist to help us with these word problems. We're going to draw a picture, circle any number that's given in the problem, label it in our diagram, and then solve for what the question is asking. That makes sense. All right, number 5. John's traveling from Heron High School to Riverside High School. He travels 1.5 miles north and 2 miles west. How far is the shortest distance between Heron High School and Riverside High School? So let's do the first thing it says is draw a picture. John is traveling 1.5 miles north, meaning he's going up 1.5 miles. And then he goes west, which means he's going to the left 2 miles. We're assuming he made a right turn here. What's the shortest distance? It's going to be a straight line. That'll be our shortest distance. So we've got 1.5 miles up, 2 miles over. We're going to find the shortest distance. He made a right turn. Just circle those like I said we were supposed to. He made a right turn, so we have a right triangle. So we can use our Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. What is the c in this problem? It's across from the right angle. So it's x. So that's our x squared. Could say a is 2, so we'll be 2 squared. B could be our 1.5 squared. I know that 2 squared is 4, but I don't know what 1.5 squared is. 2.25 equals x squared. If we add those together, we get 6.25 equals x squared, and we take the square root of both sides. 2.5. 2.5 miles is how long John travels. Cool. You're going to do number 6 and show me for credit. Show me. All right. That's our Pythagorean theorem. Go get 'em, scholars. Keep on that hustle.